Good evening, I'm Maciej Mikos and you're watching World News Tonight, live from Warsaw. On Friday, US President Donald Trump is meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Will the summit bring the bloodshed in Ukraine to an end? We'll have more on that in just a moment, but first, let's take a look at tonight's headlines. Ukrainians and Russians swap prisoners of war. Foreign hackers attempted to paralyze municipal water infrastructure in a Polish city. And a record number of Poles want to carry firearms. US President Donald Trump has warned Russia of severe consequences if Vladimir Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire at Friday's meeting between the two leaders in Alaska. On the other hand, Trump is rumored to be considering offering Russia a stake in Ukraine's rare earth minerals to achieve his main goal for the talks, an immediate end to the fighting. Kazimierz Łysiak reports on the latest diplomatic preparations ahead of Friday's summit.
US President Donald Trump is a man on a mission to get Russia to agree to an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, either with a stick.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes.
Or with a carrot.
An exchange of views is expected on further developing bilateral cooperation, including in the trade and economic sphere. I would like to note that this cooperation has huge and untapped potential.
According to British daily The Telegraph, President Trump is prepared to offer Russia a stake in Ukraine's rare earth minerals in exchange for the ceasefire. But is that enough to get President Putin on board?
The reason why they're rare, it's a dirty and expensive business to extract them. Yes, there are some mineral reserves of various rare earth in Ukraine. I don't think that Soviet or Russian industry has been particularly interested in it.
Still, Russian President Vladimir Putin will be traveling to the United States with a small army of some of his top advisors. This includes Foreign Policy aide Yuri Ushakov, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Defense Minister Andriy Belyusov, and also two finance officials, Minister Anton Siluanov and Economic Advisor Kirill Dmitriev. Some analysts say their presence on US soil is already a PR win for Putin.
And it does, in many respects, at a symbolic level, end his isolation and underline that he's no longer a pariah. So it's a victory for Russia, and it does undermine efforts to hold Russia accountable for the war crimes that have been committed in Ukraine.
But European leaders have welcomed the meeting as a necessary step towards peace during the virtual summit with the US and Ukrainian presidents on Wednesday.
I think it's completely natural that the United States of America is meeting Russia. That's quite a good thing to calm the climate, and they have a lot of bilateral matters.
Before flying back to Ukraine from Germany, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made a stop in the United Kingdom on Thursday for a face-to-face meeting with Prime Minister Keir Starmer. If a ceasefire is reached, the UK and France are ready to put troops on the ground in Ukraine to safeguard the truce.
We're ready to support this, including through the plans that we've already drawn up to deploy a reassurance force once hostilities have ceased.
While Poland won't be deploying its own troops, it's ready to serve as a transport hub, as it has been for military equipment for Kyiv for the past 3 years. The government in Warsaw is cautiously optimistic about the Alaska summit, but also wary of Russia's intentions.
For me, the most important thing is that Poland and Europe convinced Donald Trump that one can't trust Russia. The only way, and President Zelensky and I said this, is to force Russia into an honest peace.
The stage is set. This US airbase in Anchorage, Alaska will be the location of the first meeting between the US and Russian presidents since 2021. The talks are to begin at 9:30 Polish time on Friday. For TVP World, I'm Kazimierz Łysiak.
During a press conference at the White House, Donald Trump said a trilateral meeting that follows his talks with Vladimir Putin will be more important than the summit in Alaska, adding that one of EU member states' leaders might or might not also be invited. Now, as Europeans bate their breath ahead of the Friday Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska, Moscow and Kyiv have conducted another war prisoners exchange. 84 POWs on each side have been released from custody. Our correspondent Alex Cadier witnessed the swap and has this report.
Well, some incredibly moving, incredibly emotional scenes here in northern Ukraine. We saw these Ukrainian prisoners of war, 33 soldiers, tasting freedom, many of them for the first time in years, all of them with shaved heads, all of them incredibly pale, most of them held in captivity by their Russian captors away from any natural light. Highly likely that many of them were also subjected to torture. So certainly a moment of relief for those families, incredibly emotional, difficult scenes to see these young men finally coming home. We understand this swap included several people, both military and civilians. We spoke to Andriy Usov, who is the spokesperson for Ukraine's military intelligence in charge of coordinating these swaps, who gave us more details about exactly who was released.
Today, 84 Ukrainians returned, 51 civilians and 33 servicemen of armed forces of Ukraine. They had been held in Russian captivity since 2014, from the beginning of Russia's aggression in Ukraine's Donbass.
Many of them accused and then sentenced almost immediately to multiple decades in prison. Of course, some prisoners released, we understand, on the military side. Some of them defended the now occupied city of Mariupol. Some women on the civilian side held since 2016. One, of course, man was arrested and held captive by the Russians when he was just 18 years old. The youngest released, 26 years old, the oldest, 74. We spoke to one woman who was at the scene seeing her husband come back. She has been waiting for years to get any information about him, and as soon as he walked off that bus, she pulled him close and held him very tight. I asked her what this moment meant for her.
I waited for 40 months and 2 days. He is very thin, very exhausted. Next, there will be doctors. First we will recover, then we will go to his parents. I thank the coordination headquarters, I thank the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, I thank everyone. I know it's not easy to bring our Marines back. I'm very grateful to everyone, to all of Ukraine.
Amid these moments of relief, of hope, of families being reunited, of incredible relief for these wives and mothers waiting for their partners and their sons to come back, there was also heartbreak. Dozens of families present at the location where we were, holding up signs to one of the higher windows where a released POW was listening to hear the names being shouted up. Did you see my son? Did you see my father? Did you see my husband? One after the other saying, no, I have not heard. I don't have any information. But these families so desperate to get any information from their loved ones. Many of them left the scene with no further information. They will have to continue to wait with nothing about the people they care about so deeply. In the last few days, we have been talking about the abstract concepts of war, potential peace talks in Alaska, diplomatic talks between the Europeans, President Zelensky, President Trump. What we saw today here in northern Ukraine was the real emotional pain caused by this Russian invasion of Ukraine, pain suffered by so many thousands of Ukrainians over the last 3.5 years. In northern Ukraine, I'm Alex Cadier for TVP World.
Russia is ramping up its hybrid operations against Poland. According to the country's deputy prime minister, one Polish city has only narrowly avoided a major disaster as foreign hackers attempted to paralyze its water infrastructure. However, it is only the latest in a series of Russia's sabotage activities in Poland. Anastasia Yanchenko has the story.
One of Poland's major cities narrowly avoided a large-scale cyber attack on critical water infrastructure, which could have left the city with a severe water outage.
An attack on the water and sewage company would primarily bring consequences that make ordinary everyday life impossible for people, for families, for those living in apartment blocks and small houses. All of this could paralyze normal life and result in us being unable to use the infrastructure.
According to the Ministry of Digital Affairs, Poland registers around 300 Russian cyber attacks every day, with numbers growing. In recent months, Polish companies and institutions have increasingly become targets.
Poland is the most targeted country in cyberspace, with Russia spearheading these efforts. It attacks critical infrastructure and encourages people to cooperate with Russian intelligence services, paying them 3,000 to 4,000 euros for it.
Russia has recently intensified its presence in Poland, both online through cyber attacks and on the ground through acts of sabotage. Poland has barely moved past the scandal over a Max Korsz concert, where flags of the Ukrainian insurgent army linked in Poland to World War II-era killings of Poles were displayed when another controversy erupted, again targeting Polish-Ukrainian relations.
Poland's internal security agency and police have detained a 17-year-old Ukrainian national, accused of vandalizing monuments to victims of the Ukrainian insurgent army on orders from foreign intelligence.
The sabotage involved desecrating monuments, including the one in Domostov commemorating the Volhynia massacre, where a Ukrainian inscription, "Glory to Ukrainian Insurgent Army," and a banderit flag were placed. The penalty ranges from no less than 10 years to a maximum of life imprisonment.
The incident has already drawn a response from the Ukrainian embassy in Poland.
The embassy strongly condemns all disgraceful actions directed against memorial sites. We consider this a provocation by Russian special services aimed at creating tension between our nations.
Russia is trying to drive a wedge between Ukrainians and Poles at a time when support for Ukraine is very much needed, says Poland's Prime Minister.
Stirring up conflicts and hostility between Ukrainians and Poles is a very common tactic of foreign intelligence services. The Russians are counting heavily on being able to set Ukraine and Poland against each other.
Russia is not only launching cyber attacks, carrying out sabotage operations and disinformation campaigns. It is also trying to enter the political arena and gain a presence in the Polish parliament. Former presidential candidate Marek Włoch will merge in September with the Camp of Great Poland, a group whose members openly support Russia. The new party aims to enter parliament in 2027.
Fortunately, the majority of the political class states outright that Russia is a threat, that Russia is today the aggressor, and that Russia is also waging a cyber war against Poland.
This report for TVP World, Anastasia Yanchenko.
Moscow is trying to influence the outcome of next year's elections in Hungary, as the opposition TISA party leads in polls putting Russia's ally Viktor Orban's political future in question. The Kremlin spies have issued a statement accusing the EU of backing TISA's leader Peter Magyar.
Hungary's opposition leader, Peter Magyar, accused Russian intelligence of trying to influence the 2026 Hungarian elections. Magyar leads Hungary's center-right TISA party, and though Orban's Fidesz has ruled Hungary for 15 years, TISA currently holds a lead in the polls.
Orban is losing popularity, and in the interest of Russia is to keep Orban in power, to have a leader that undermines the EU, the NATO unity regarding Russia.
Earlier, Russian intelligence accused the EU of trying to influence 2026 Hungarian elections, saying Magyar is loyal to globalist elites, such as European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The intelligence service also suggested Magyar may attempt to topple current Hungarian leader Viktor Orban in early parliamentary elections. Orban is well known for his pro-Russia and anti-Ukraine stance. On Tuesday, Magyar gave an interview to Polish daily Gazeta Wyborcza, signaling a shift from Orban's policies.
We intend to move away from the current uncritically friendly approach toward Russia. We will defend Hungary's national interest, which in many areas coincides with the interest of Poland and all of Europe.
I suppose the intention is to influence the public, but I think it can also easily backfire, because Russia is in a way admitting that it's interfering in the domestic politics of Hungary. And it shows that actually, Orban was very often saying that sovereignty is a #1 priority for the country, to keep the sovereignty.
Because of Orban's long record as a spoiler in the EU's attempts to better support Ukraine, the current popularity of opposition leader Peter Magyar is seen as having strategic importance by both Russia and the EU. For TVP World, this is Randy Potts.
More and more Poles want to learn how to shoot and keep a firearm at home. The latest report shows a 600% hike in gun permit applications, a trend fueled by the ongoing war in Ukraine. Defense correspondent Zuzanna Jurek reports on the firearm craze in Poland.
Poland is rearming, and the trend appears to extend beyond the armed forces as applications for gun ownership permits have been skyrocketing in the country year on year. Last year alone, over 40,000 individual carry permits were issued nationwide.
The number of permits is increasing throughout the year, slowly but surely. So we are talking about tens of thousands of legal firearm owners in Poland. This is a huge spike, about 500 to 600% compared to what we had here a few years ago.
Psychologists cite prevention and personal freedom as some of the leading drivers behind the gun boom.
This brings a sense of security. That is a perception that owning a weapon makes them safe, even if they have not previously experienced any immediate or direct threat. People see the right to bear arms as a symbol of freedom and unfettered access to everything that a person can have access to.
And this need to feel prepared comes as no surprise for a country which sits on NATO's eastern flank with a war raging just across the border. 2022 marked a key turning point.
The increase in gun permit applications has been significant, especially in the wake of the outbreak of the war in Ukraine. Initially, the increase was so large that we couldn't keep up with the number of applicants interested in joining the club.
In situations like those we see even across our eastern border, having a population familiar with firearms ultimately increases the country's ability to defend itself.
Though those close to the matter say that firearms are primarily the domain of men, more and more women and children find themselves at shooting ranges. For many, starting young is what inspired their passion.
My enthusiasm for firearms began in childhood, as my dad was an officer in the armed forces and I was familiar with weapons from an early age.
But even though the number of permits issued is rapidly rising, the path to obtaining one is still far from easy.
You must be at least 21 years old, have no criminal record, pass the appropriate psychological tests, and have a valid reason for owning a firearm. That's what the law says. The reasons vary. It could be for training purposes, personal protection, or building a collection. Sometimes, depending on which of these reasons motivates you, you may need to belong to a club. Next, you need to pass a shooting course. This process can take anywhere from 3 to 8 months.
Despite permit issuance hitting year-on-year highs and gun sellers seeing record sales,
people buy a lot of guns right now for a couple of years now. They want to train, they want to feel safe.
Poland still lags behind its European counterparts by number of weapons per 100 people, coming in at the very last place on the list. For TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.
Several Latvian companies have joined the Europe-wide legal claim against Amsterdam-based accommodation and services platform Bookingcom. More than 10,000 hotels across Europe have united in a collective lawsuit demanding compensation for losses sustained over the past 20 years. Alex Sumliński has more.
This website, that we know all too well, especially at this time of the year, is being sued by more than 10,000 European hotels, including several from Latvia.
I am taking part in this petition to sue Booking.com because I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that no large conglomerate has the right to tell a private business how to operate. In our case, this means that Booking.com demands that our prices on their platform be the lowest.
This unprecedented legal move follows the European Court of Justice ruling in September 2024. It confirmed that Booking.com's parity clauses, contractual terms preventing hotels from offering better prices on other platforms or their own websites, violated EU competition law.
On the one hand, hotels may be able to obtain compensation for the 20 years during which the best price clause, prohibiting any lower price outside the platform, was enforced illegally. So there is a possibility of some compensation. On the other hand, Booking.com is the largest cooperation partner for hotels, and most hotel bookings come through this platform.
Those taking part in the landmark pan-European collective action say Booking.com's clauses harmed price competition, inflated commission rates, and restricted the autonomy of thousands of European hotels. And often for these entrepreneurs, even a little can go the extra mile.
For us, those few €100 could genuinely make a difference.
The lawsuit is one of the largest ever filed in the European hospitality sector. For TVP World, Alex Samlinsky.
As a heat wave has hit Poland's capital, Warsaw, the city's residents are happy to finally get some sun after an exceptionally rainy July. But while Central Europe is enjoying the sun, the south of the continent is burning. Natalia Komarov reports.
After quite a rainy summer, the European heatwave has reached Poland. Temperatures across the country are surpassing 30 degrees Celsius today, which in Fahrenheit terms means approaching 90. We asked the people here in Warsaw how they are dealing with such weather.
We arrived today from the seaside and I think we're already regretting it, because there at least we could jump in the water.
Well, I drink water, try to walk in the shade. Some sunscreen would be good, but I didn't take any.
But it is difficult. I always struggle with, in summer, with warmer temperatures overall.
I've been waiting for a day like this. I spent the whole summer in Warsaw, didn't go to the seaside, so today I'm imagining that I'm at the beach.
The Polish Institute of Meteorology and Water Management has issued weather warnings for most of the country. But while in Poland many people are happy to see the sun, in the south of Europe the heat wave is wreaking havoc. After months of drought, wildfires are raging across the Mediterranean. In Spain, Greece, Albania and Montenegro, firefighters have no time to rest. According to data collected by European Commission, over 1,600 wildfires have been reported across the EU in 2025, resulting in over 400,000 square kilometers of burned land. These stats are significantly higher than from the same time period in 2024. According to experts, these kind of summers are here to stay, and Europeans will just have to adjust. From Warsaw, for TVP World, Natalia Komarov.
And that would be all for now. Thank you for watching and stay with us for more news and features here on TVP World.